I need a new tool. I have big skews, I got little skews, but I need a couple more medium-sized skews. So about 20 years ago, I got this very small round skew from Bob Rosand. It's made out of high-speed steel, so all I needed to do was to grind it, and it's perfect. But I want a bigger one, and I don't have any high-speed steel. So today, I'm going to take a piece of standard tool steel. This is 1/2 inch. I'm going to grind it into a round skew. Round, remember on the short point, we want that edge rounded anyway, so this is just perfect. But because it's tool steel, I'm going to have to harden it. So we'll go heat treat it. And then I can't use it like this anyway, so I'll have to go back and make a handle for it. So today it's about making a skew, a round skew. So step 1 is to grind it. Step 2 will be to heat treat it. Step 3 would be to handle it. So let's go start grinding some steel. I have a number of grinders here at school, and I'm going to use the one that has the aluminum oxide wheel. I don't want to put tool steel on my CBN wheels. So I've taken this wheel, I cleaned and squared the surface. I've set the platform to give me the rough 70-degree angle I want. And so now it's all just about grinding away a lot of metal. I want to get this at the right angle, so I know from past experience that that's about the 70-degree angle I want. So I'm going to grind one side, other, and back and forth while I just take this down to shape. It'll be a while. Here we go. Done. Okay, we've finished it. What I was doing most of the time was trying to make sure that that edge stayed very near the center. So I was looking at it from the end every now and then to be sure that the grinding surfaces on both sides were fairly uniform. And the angle, actually I was using the corner of this platform to rest my hand again on either side, so I got a uniform angle on each side. That was fairly arbitrary, but it gave me something to use to reference against. So now all I got to do is clean up my grinding dust, and then we'll go over to the heat treating center and take care of the next step of this to make it hard and sharpenable. It's got a good edge on it now, but that's not going to last more than about 2 seconds unless I harden it. So let's go over to harden. Okay, we're at the hardening station and ready to go. This is my can of peanut oil, which I use because it smokes less and smells nice. My little kiln refractory device that you've seen before, and MAP gas, which is my preferred gas. So I'm not going to hold on to this thing. I don't want to burn my fingers, so I'm going to just grab it, a pair of tongs, and I'm going to heat it up maybe down 1.5 inches, 2 inches until it goes red, and then I'm going to dunk it. That should do it. Okay. And I'm moving it in and out of the flame, so I'm warming up the whole shaft about 1.5 to 2 inches. It's a big piece of steel. It's going to take a few seconds to get this warm. And I'm going to turn over and do it from both sides. I'm watching for color to develop, nothing yet. When it comes almost all at once, so it's, I think I see pink. pink on the tip. Not real red yet. Almost a light blush color. Now it's turning darker pink. I'm looking for that translucency to develop. Oh, it's coming fast. That's one side. Here's the other side. Nice cherry red. Okay, here we go. Now I'm going to let this cool down to room temperature. I move it around in order to make sure that there's cool oil always touching it. If I leave it in one place, it will get surrounded like the warm oil and it won't quench it. I want to lock the crystalline structure in a harder orientation than when it's manufactured. And as you can see now from the piece, I got a little cleaning up to do. But basically, we've got it. So I'm going to let it cool down. And then we need to thermal cycle it just a little bit to take some of the extra hardness out. And I don't have an oven here, so I'm going to thermal cycle it right here with the torch. We'll let it cool for a few seconds. If this was 01 or other tool steel, I would have a formula that says how do you temper the hardness. And this is not 01, so I don't have a formula, but I do have some experience. I'm not heating it up above 300 or 400 degrees, and I want to kind of stay there for a little while. And now, as soon as it has cooled sufficiently, I will go put an edge on it. And then, well, actually I think what I'll do is put a handle on it first and then grind an edge on it after I have something else to hold on to. So I guess what we need to do now is go back to one of the wood lathes and do something about getting a handle on this tool. I know it's 1/2 inch stock, so I know what size hole I need. And it's almost cool enough to pick up and carry. And so I'll see you back at the wood lathe. Okay, we're at the lathe. I picked up a piece of interesting looking wood. I'm not sure what it is. Could be hard maple, could be something else, but it doesn't matter. I put it in the 4-jaw chuck, brought up my live center, so it's between centers. First thing I'm really going to do is just knock the corners off and make this roughly round. And then I'm going to come in and drill the holes before I do any shaping at all. In case the drill bit wanders, I want to be sure that the piece is concentric to the holes. Tools I'm going to need: my parting tool, initially my roughing gouge, and for some of the shaping I've got a 3/8 bowl gouge here that I'm also be using. And then to do the drilling, we can use a center drill to get this started. What that does is make sure the hole is straight. And then I have a 1/2 inch drill, which is what will make the hole for the 1/2 inch tool shank. So now I have to decide how deep I want to bury that tool, but generally just about before the end of these flutes, and that'll be just about right. Once the hole's on there, then the next thing I'm going to do is to put a ferrule on. I have a piece of brass tubing here, a pair of calipers to kind of give me a rough ID on it, so I know what size to turn that. Put that on, shape the handle, and so on. So you've seen these steps before, but let's get through them. A little rough shaping first. Clear. That's about 1,000 RPM. That'll do to work with. Maybe a little faster. This has happened on this lathe several times. I do not know why. This tool rest tends to want to slip a little bit. Won't now, I don't think. Saw me cutting a lot from the headstock towards the tailstock, preferably. The reason why, it throws the chips someplace else, not at me. Now looking at this grain, I'm beginning to think this is oak, which will make a nice handle. We'll do a couple more cuts. It's not quite round, and I want to get this in down here rounded. I'll have to use the other side of the tool and throw it at me. Wondering why this is cutting so hard. It is really dry, curly oak. That's close. Little center drill. Just to give the real drill bit fighting chance of being on center. Now 1/2 inch, I've kind of measured how far I want to go. That's good enough. So we have a hole. Let's get this out. And now we can put our live center back into the hole, which means I know that it's going to be running true on the hole. But you can see that hole wasn't dead center. It has moved a little bit. So that's okay, because that's why I did it first. So now let's do a little shaping. At least get the bounce out of it. to my bowl gouge so I don't have to throw the chips at myself anymore. There's a knot right down near the end here. It'll be right above where the ferrule's going to go in, and it'll look kind of nice. So let's figure out what to do about the ferrule, how long it's going to be. So I marked the end of the ferrule. I'm going to use my parting tool to take that down to dimension. How much far I need to go. Let's kind of get a guess. Okay, I know. I'm going to stop a little bit before the right dimension and actually size it to the piece of brass. Okay, let's see how close we are. Oh, shoot. I'm going to make sure that's straight. We'll do a bunch of checking now. Oh yeah, there's knots down even in here. So I'm down to the outside diameter of the brass, which means I got to come down another 32nd, it looks like. I'm not worried about this being thin walled, because once the brass is on there and glued in, and the metal on the other side, that'll be very strong. Not too much pressure. Well, a little bit more than that. It's got to drive anyway. That might be about it. Let's find out. Close, but no cigar. Just doing a little bit here at the end, because once I glue this thing on, oh boy, I could almost sand that down. You start to see, once I glue this on, I'm going to have plenty of epoxy around here, so it's going to fit just fine. Now, that's a little loose, and that's good. So now what we can do is take the rest of this down. Let's see if it fits. Okay, and the wood is almost even with the brass, and I'll clean that end up, get those marks off of there later. The bottom's flat, so now I need to glue it on. And here's how I do it. I'm going to use a little bit of CA glue right here. This is thin and it is water thin. Oh good, this is pretty thick, and that's what I really wanted. I'm going to soak this tenon in CA glue. Slip my brass on, and then I'm going to take the thin CA glue and soak it in from the end. Oops, I thought it was thin. Oh, there it is. And it's going to go down into all those little openings, and it may go down inside the hole, and that's fine. And I'm sealing that end grain. So that's need to harden. I'm going to help it along just a little bit. Now I've got CA glue running everywhere, and that's fine because all this out here on the outside is going to get turned away, down in the hole. And we'll wait a couple of minutes for that to harden. Then we'll go back on the lathe and start actually shaping the handle. Back in a minute or two. Well, the glue looks dry finally. It's old glue, so it takes a little while longer to set. So back on the lathe. Back between centers. And now we've got to shape a handle. We got to actually make a handle that looks comfortable to us now. So I have a shape that I kind of like that fits my hand, and that's probably the one I'm going to end up using. couldn't find my spindle gouge. I'm sorry, my shallow fluted gouge. Okay, I'm just kind of cleaning up the shape a little bit. And I am going to shape a little bit back down here so I can now round this. Other hand's better. Okay, a little sanding. This is 180. Probably should start with my 120. And 120 is going to give me a little shaping capability. I got some of my tool marks. Yeah, I'm not going to leave this off. But I want to be able to get in there and sand just a little bit. And make my brass look nice too. So the brass isn't cleaning up everywhere. And part of the reason is there's a little CA glue on it, which I need to get off, which I will do right now. Use my negative rake scraper, just simply to remove a little bit of glue deposit. All this black stuff, which you probably can't see very well, is all accumulated glue. I'll just cut it off here. Might be able to get some of it, but if you try to sand through all this stuff, you can get there eventually, but this is so much faster. Maybe close enough I can finish it with my sandpaper. Let's see. Oh yeah. Now doesn't that look better? 120. That's it. Make sure that end is done nicely. 180. Now it's a tool handle, so I don't need to go real high on the grits. I will go to 220. I'm going to keep the 220 paper right here at hand, because I'm going to come in here and put a little decorative mark on it. Can't leave it this way. 1, 2, 3, that's 5. Probably wasn't a good idea, but I did it anyway. Little burning wire here now. Into the groove. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now back with my 220 because that raised the grain a little bit. I cut it back down again. And now I use Tripoli Ultra Shine, which is a mixture of wax and a very fine abrasive. And the wax will add a little color to it. The abrasive will continue to clean it up a little bit. And I'm not going to put a real finish on the end of this because I don't want it shiny. I want it grippable. And basically what I'm doing is rubbing hard with this. What that's doing is burnishing the surface a little bit. And now I'm going to do the brass, but I'm going to do it last because look what it does. It raises a little black on it, but it does leave it nice. I can't go back over the wood with that. So now we're going to clean it up. Always a clean place on the paper towel. We have a nice shiny piece of brass. And now for the wood, same thing. Take away some of that wax buildup. And just so you can take a look. A little quilting in this. Oh, it's going to be fun. It's going to be a nice handle. Okay, now I got to get it off of here, and I need to finish that end. Now this is how I do it. Find my skew chisel here again. I know I'm still between centers. Little V cut. Bigger one. And basically I'm parting it off. And I'm using the skew because it'll end up with a fairly smooth surface and I'll have a little work to do to finish it. Okay, I'm going to hold on to it. I'm not going very fast, so when this pops off it won't be a big deal. So how am I going to finish this end? That's pretty simple. Let me show you a trick. Remember my 1/2 inch drill? Well, guess what? Well, I didn't expect that to happen. Well, that's a little tighter. I wanted to slide it further down, but that's okay. I think it's okay. We'll find out in a second. That's good enough. It's jammed on there. A little 120. End grain is always the hardest to get cleaned up. It's because it's end grain. $180. $220. And we want to make it look the same. So we're going to go back to our polish. Work a little into the end. Ooh, don't do that. That's okay. Polish it up. completed handle, looking pretty good. We now have to put the rod in here, and I'm going to drive it in. So I'm going to go back to the bench where I can find a nice soft piece of wood, set this down, put this over top of it, and use a mallet and drive it in. I can actually do it right here. Let me step off camera for a minute, get set up for putting the handle and blade together. Cleaned the shaft up a little bit, cleaned out the hole, found a piece of wood to set this on, and a dead blow mallet. Got it! So now, all I need to do is clean this up a little bit. And I can polish a lot more, but now all I need to do is to sharpen the edge. And we have a new skew chisel. Come back and see our next video. Thanks for watching. Stay safe.